Hey folks, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how to ask for letters of recommendation. Special request for one of my subscribers. They left a comment under, and by the way, if you want me to talk about certain stuff, just leave a comment under one of my videos and I will try to talk about it. I want to cover all college admissions subjects, so this is a special request video. But before we get started, go ahead and hit the like button if you appreciate my content, and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my videos. I upload at least three times a week talking about different college admissions issues, news, updates, the process, what admissions officers think, all that stuff. So hit that subscribe button. All right, so again, we're talking about letters of recommendation today. And before we go into like who to ask, when to ask, I want to really talk about why colleges ask for letters of recommendations as a part of the college application process in the first place. And I think it's fairly easy to understand. Your test scores and your GPA indicate if you're literally academically prepared to take on a college level curriculum. So SAT, ACT, GPA, course rigor are all indicators of if you're literally academically prepared. Extracurricular activities demonstrate your interests. What kind of subjects does this student like to study? What role have they served in their community? And so outside of those two things, the letters of recommendation really give colleges a sneak peek into who you are from a third person. Not only are you academically prepared, but are you a good classmate? Are you a good student? Are you someone who can actually listen to a teacher and learn and accept criticism and feedback and do something good with that information? Or are you one of those students who can, get a 4.0, but really has a hard time taking constructive criticism or being a good classmate, doesn't like group, like what is it? So letters of recommendation, either from a teacher, and I'll focus on teachers in this video, either from a teacher or counselor, are really that big brother, good or bad, giving an honest opinion of what kind of student you are. So that's why letters of recommendations matter. Letters of recommendation matter, and then that's why colleges generally ask for them. So who should you ask for a letter of recommendation from? I think most colleges require a counselor and a teacher, and so those are the two people you want to focus on. I need to get one from my counselor and get one from a teacher. And if you work a job, it might be great to get one from your supervisor as well. But at least with respect to a teacher, you want to ask your junior year teachers ideally. Couple reasons for this. If you're applying for college the fall of your senior year teachers probably don't know you that well, unless they were also your junior year teachers. I've had teachers, some of my teachers taught me chemistry and physics, or English 3, and then composition as a senior. So I understand there are circumstances in which you might have a teacher for 2 years. But in most cases, you want to ask your junior year teacher. They're gonna know you as a student the best. They spent the last year with you. You're gonna understand who they are as a teacher best. So you have a better prediction of if this person is gonna be the right kind of recommender for you. And also, your junior year teachers represent the teachers who've taught you the most advanced subject matter that you know. So instead of going to a freshman year teacher who saw you in 9th grade, making that transition from middle to high school, or asking a sophomore year teacher who you haven't talked to on a daily basis in almost 2 years, just ask your junior year teacher and ask them before you go on summer break going into senior year. So before you leave junior year, go on a summer break, or start senior year, that's when you want to ask your junior year teachers. A couple reasons why you want to do this at this time. First, you get ahead of the game. If you have a really great teacher, you can bet that 12 other students or 24 other students are going to be asking them for a letter of recommendation. So do you want to be number 1, 2 on the list of those letters of recommendation, or do you want to be number 12 on the list when the teacher's worn out and has just kind of written the same thing over and over again? So ask early and you'll be better off. It's also better to ask before going into senior year, because then the teacher has a lot of opportunity to ruminate on what kind of student you've been. And instead of waiting, the 2 weeks before the application is due, you can really start checking in months in advance, or check in at the beginning of the school year and say, you know, hey, Miss Johnson, at the end of the school year, when I left, I asked you if you'd be okay with writing me a letter of recommendation, and I want to know if you're still okay with doing that. So it's no longer a cold ask. It's no longer you trying to wade through and get some time with them at the beginning of the year, which is always hectic for teachers. Ask at the end of junior year. Ask your junior year teachers. And when you ask, make sure you give them everything that they're going to need to write you a great letter of recommendation. And so, like, what does that look like? You should, at a minimum, be giving them a copy of your transcript. So not only do they see, if you're a 4.0 student, Dean's List, valedictorian, salutatorian, you should really want your recommender to have that information. So give them a copy of your transcript. Give them a list of what your academic honors and awards have been. Give them a list of what you do in your free time. So what extracurricular activities do you participate in? What do you do in your free time? Do you volunteer at a church? Do you volunteer with a community organization? You want to give them a packet with all this information. So include your transcript. Really, you can include a copy of your resume, and it'll go over like the volunteer activities that you're involved with, the extracurriculars you're involved with, any special workshops or presentations that you've been a part of. And I think this is important because it really puts you as a student into context for the recommender. So while they know you as a student in their classroom for the most part, it's also a good idea to give them a snapshot of who you are outside the classroom. So I know that Johnny is a great physics student. He gets these concepts down. He's always willing to help his classmates out. But outside of the classroom, he's also dedicated to helping, you know, his family bridge the gap with the circumstances they've experienced. So he babysits his family, his sisters and brothers every night after school. Plus, you know, he's able to ace his physics test. So all these things combined together paints a much more holistic picture of who the applicant is. And so giving this extra information to your recommenders really only benefits you in the end. So and then you should also give the recommender a list of deadlines, the address that the letter should be sent to, whether that's an email address, a web page, or a physical address. Give that all that information. The deadline says so there's no surprise about when your letter of recommendation is due. You'd also want to give them a list of your personal strengths and characteristics that you want them to highlight in the letter of recommendation. So outside of them needing to know what your strengths are inside the classroom, it's a good idea to give them an indicator of which of those strengths that you'd like them to highlight in your particular letter. So if you're applying for a direct admit to Cornell in their physics department, I don't know if that exists, then you would want your physics teacher to highlight your strengths in your knowledge and skills as a physics student. So not only have you mastered the concepts, but you're able to teach others. You're curious about where the future of physics is going as a whole. And so you would probably be better off indicating to your physics teacher that you want him to focus on your strengths as a physics student, as opposed to your strengths as, say, a teammate. So I know I'm a good teammate, good classmate, always a great helper, but that doesn't do as much for me when I'm applying for the direct admit program into a physics department if you don't also emphasize my physics knowledge and skills. And then some teachers will ask for a draft letter of recommendation. This always isn't a bad thing. It's not saying that they're lazy or that they just aren't able to put together their thoughts, but, you know, teachers are busy. Beginning of the school year, they've got 10 other students that they need to write letters from. There's really nothing wrong. There's nothing bad about providing a teacher with a draft letter of recommendation if they ask for it. It can be 3 to 4 paragraphs of bullet points, really, so 12 bullet points in all that say, you know, Johnny is a great student who excels inside and outside of the classroom, as paragraph 1. You know, specifically, Hakeem has always gone out of his way to help other students prepare for tests and to tutor them outside of the classroom and homework. I'm just saying these are the kind of letters I see teachers writing. Obviously, with much more specifics, but that kind of gets at the whole point. And then just a couple more things about letters of recommendation. Went over why they're important, who to ask during your teachers, when to ask at the end of junior year, definitely before senior year starts, and what you should give them. All these things: resume, transcript, accomplishments, traits you want them to talk about. I would say the final couple things are, don't forget to check in. So as it's getting close to the deadline, a month out, 2 weeks out before the letter of recommendation is due, check in. Don't be annoying. Don't be clogging up their inbox with lots of reminder emails. But check in twice, you know, a couple weeks before the deadline, and then as the deadline approaches, if they still haven't submitted anything, and then, you know, go in person again. It works that way as well. If you go in person, that it's harder to ignore, it's harder to say no and to put it off. And then the last thing, but most important thing, don't forget to say thank you. It's not easy, even if you love a person, to put a letter of recommendation together. Some people just aren't writers, and as contrary to what I said earlier, aren't as good at articulating themselves on paper, even if it is for their favorite student. So say thank you, maybe a small gift for their time. Definitely a kind-hearted in-person thank you card is never too much, or at the very least a thank you email, that works as well. But don't forget to say thank you, and that's it. Hopefully you better understand what it takes to ask for a letter of recommendation and get a letter of recommendation from your teachers. Until next time, I will see you then. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.